guys, welcome back. So we just finished episode 2 of Ready, Set, Love. So, Bestie, what did you think about this episode?
This episode was fun. I love this drama so much. I love how cute it is. I love how it starts diving into some of the mechanics behind the game and some of the normal survival show type fixing that happens. You definitely tell certain things are rigged, but they're going to try to still make sure that you pay attention and still tune in. And so it was interesting kind of seeing the underbelly of all that. And yeah, the growing tension with Day and San and oh, what's gonna happen? So yeah,
and with other characters and couples too. I remember I watched this episode and there was one couple where I'm just okay,
I see the vision.
I see it, and apparently so did he. I remember and I was telling Bestie this, that in episode 1, when the guys are backstage and they're up there watching the ladies being congregated, before they went out with their big introduction, I remember this particular character looking at somebody and just oh damn, she fine. So I'm just that really puts in perspective here, where I'm just yeah, they were one of the ones where I'm just I shipped them so much. I probably ship them just as much as the main. So I guess let's get into the mechanics of this. So it seemed before they had a little break before they start the next journey, Day was able to go and check on her sister, and her sister already has all the nurses and all the other patients rallying, they are all here for Team Day, because she is the last person in the lotto that has survived. And so with that, she's carrying the hope of a lot of these other ladies around here to be pretty much their avatar, and also for her to hopefully succeed. But we also get, Bessie has said, we get elements that we are told that, like a lot of things, this is rigged, that most of the time for seasons past, it's always been the elites is what they're really called, I think. The elites are the ones that have always won. And so that's practically what is being geared up to happen this season too. And even Sun had acknowledged, he's yeah, this stuff is rigged, so it doesn't even matter what I think about things. And what we also see is that Sun is up there having lunch with Chanel, her father, and her mother. And it's ironic, of course, when in this world a lot of things have switched. So most of the time when you see people at the head of the table, it's usually the man. It's not the man, it is her. That she's very domineering. What I like about this drama is that with each episode you kind of get a peeling of layers about things are not exactly how you think it is. So, and a lot of it also, what you might perceive about, what Chanel is going through, or what Chanel is in episode 1, or what the producer, who I think her name is,
Jenny?
Jenny. I was about to call her Kelly. But the other's 80s name. But between the two of them, you start seeing a little bit more that things are not quite what you think it is. You're not dealing with a couple of mean girls, but it seems like the mean girl is definitely up front is Chanel's mother. Chanel and her father seem like they have a good relationship. Her father's just oh, it looks like you haven't eaten a lot. Here, take a little bit of piece of this meat. And the mom's you better back that up. She should not be gaining any weight, so do not be feeding her any fatty meat.
What about your figure?
And Chanel looks that's just been the crux of my life. And so her dad's oh, I'm so sorry, sweetie. Here,
you need more vegetables.
Eat some of that. But you can tell already that the dynamics was, the mother is more of the business-minded, code nature. She wants things a certain way. The father seems he's a little bit more caring towards his daughter. And of course, Son is already being there. So it already seems that from the jump that Chanel was already kind of looking for Sun to be the person she's supposed to go after. But it seems like this also might be a handpicked thing that the mother wants for her to do. And I guess what was your impression with with that whole atmosphere with her mother?
You know what? It was interesting because I like how they used visual storytelling to set the tone for the whole, how the dynamics work. Because we have to remember, this is a mostly female-dominated society. So it's we see female guards outside. Yes. We see
female butlers,
female staff, pretty much all women. And then Chanel's father. I was thinking about this. I was I wonder if it's the same way in other households, or, you know, how things are with other families that actually have a father in the home. But you could just tell by the way that the mother is stressed and her whole demeanor. It's like, oh, she's a massive bitch. Mm-hmm. Like, I already knew. I'm like, oh no, she's mine from
oh my god,
that's what she reminded me of.
Oh my god, yeah. If you don't know, just follow Stephanie Sue for like abbreviation of all that stuff, because if I watched it, I would throw my TV, but or my phone. Yeah. But you can already tell she's pretty cold and everything. Very domineering, and of course, like we said, it seems like all the traditional weapons, instead of it being handed down from, like, you know, through the male line, is female. It's more female led, and so she also had either summoned the producer Jenny there, or I'm sure she summoned her, because I don't think Jenny would come there willingly. The most ridiculous thing, even though I'm just like, I get it, but it's almost like a knight getting on the horse and his page is running after him. Yeah. So she gets on a scooter to go and find Jenny through her massive house. And so
that was so funny.
It was so funny.
I was like, this is ridiculous, but it shows just how rich she is. Yeah. And like her maid is like trotting along behind her.
That's what it felt like. It just felt like a servant or like a squire up there just running after the knight.
It just,
you know,
sounds
it's
so
weird.
Ridiculous, because at first I'm like, wait, is she getting on a...
Yes,
and she just starts scooting off, and I'm like, this... And you're like, yeah, I guess her house is massive.
I guess so. I guess she's just trying to, like, you know what, I'm a busy woman. I have to get to point A to point B.
But she hops off the scooter, and then she's back to business. And Jenny is like, you can tell she just does not want to be there. Mm-mm. She's like, okay, what is it about now?
Which I'm just like, this was the first time, like, we actually got a shift in what we perceive and see Jenny in the first episode versus now. And so she hands Jenny a drink, and Jenny's like, no, I'm trying to cut back. She fills her in with all the information about how it's going. The ratings are doing great, especially with this new incentive of her keeping Day there. But, of course, like, Chanel's mom is just like, I feel like this girl is going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. And Jenny is just like, I don't think it is. Everything should go clippingly however she wants it to. And, of course, like we said, Chanel's mom seemingly has her eyes set on Sun. Mm-hmm. For what reason, we don't know. So as Jenny was like, okay, I'm going to take my leave, like, nice talking with you. And then Chanel's mom kind of looks at her and she's like, you usually wear heels, but now you're wearing flats. Mm-hmm. And also, like, you suddenly just gave up alcohol. She's like, Interesting. And so Jenny was just like, it's not even like that. I just want to get better control over my health. Yeah. And so she leaves, and waiting in the car is her wife. So, yeah. And so it seems like they are expecting a child. Her wife has already gone overboard with buying a whole bunch of stuff that is barely fitting in the back seat. But yeah, they are expecting. So it seems that Chanel's mother was already saying like, you are
Something's a little suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Like, you might be carrying something. So it seems like she's already kind of on Jenny's trail with that. But now, getting back to the gist of the game. So the contest winners are still in the game. They get to go to this place on the farm. And it's really cool. It gives so many 1960s kind of feels with it. Even the tour guide, I kept telling Bessie how it reminds me of like the Pan Am stewardess, you know, from back in the day.
Airlines and
the
stuff.
Airlines, because it has like, because she has like kind of like a, not necessarily a boxy hat, but kind of like a little hat that's like kind of off to the side with the colorful retro scarves, like a blue blazer and stuff like that. So she looks the part of like, okay, and here's to the right, look to the front and the back of the airplane.
Make sure you put on your own mask before putting on other people's.
You know it.
And the farm is giving like 60s, 70s aesthetics, and they explicitly state like, yeah, these were built in the 70s.
Yes.
After the whole aftermath with the population decline and all that, and it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. But
it is pretty cool.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty, but it's also like houses around here. It's very cookie cutter and very like copy and paste, but even still, it kind of gives like this really cool retro aesthetic. It kind of gives you like a vibe of the Brady Bunch house or the Jetsons, because of a lot of the circular stuff. Like, they have circular tubs inside their rooms and circular lights. So like, very, very cool. I'm like, I actually like, you were saying like, do y'all do B&B? Because like, honestly, can we go?
Like, so, it would look really cool. I'm like, I can see myself just chilling out for a couple days, because the houses are nice and spacious. Like, they're kind of an open plan and everything.
They have individual pools there too, so like for each of the houses or hubs. they're pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, as the girls are walking in with their luggage, and I like that even their luggage looked retro, like it had a very 70s aesthetic.
Because I was saying, like, I remember my parents had a suitcase kind of like that.
My
like,
mom still has one like that.
Oh, does she? Yeah. Because I'm like we were talking earlier about things just not lasting how they used to.
Yeah.
Like, but that suitcase could probably last 500 more years. Easily.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it still works. Like, I think she still has it somewhere.
It's probably packaging, like, all your safeguards. Because probably, like, because it's so indestructible. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, another fire safe that could keep your stuff safe. So,
but it's so cool because they're all walking in and they're seeing everything. They're getting the little tour. And then we get to a point where they put their luggage down and they're kind of explaining, like, what's going to happen for this round and everything for the day. And it's like, okay, so this whole day is going to be built around board games. Mm-hmm. And so they're all listing like different type of games, and Bovie in this whole episode is so funny and so cute. She's supposed to be part of like the mean girl clique, but she's like straight up cute girl, like
bubbly,
and it's just like, how are you and Chanel friends? Because
it's always like one kind of offset, but I guess like sometimes you do have that friendship where you have like this one friend that's like this and you have someone that kind of acts that. And I'm sure like there's also a lot of things probably in the background that, Bovie kind of helped Chanel through and vice versa. So maybe that's like something that kind of like makes their friendship a little bit stronger.
Or maybe just proximity, but from being from elite families. You're in the same circles and stuff. True. But yeah, all the guys are responsible for bringing everybody's luggage. And
oh my goodness,
this scene was funny because we already start to see who is eyeing who and who wants to get with who, and we're seeing the development of certain ships that I'm like,
Max and Chanel, I'm here for it. Like, come on. Because like I said, Max was the one who saw her when the cameras come onto the girls in the first episode, and like this is the first time I noticed him on this second go around. Saw him, noticed her, so I'm just like, okay, Max, he already pointed it out, but now he automatically was just like, luckily he didn't take off his shirt yet.
Yeah.
Not this time. Not at this iteration, but when they were supposed to come forward, when the guys come forward to be the concierge for their luggage, Son comes walking out first, and so Chanel's like, okay, he can come, and he's like, swerve, and so he goes around her. So as everyone else kind of like goes and congregates around like paper or almond or anything like that, Max is just like, hey, do you want help? You see him up there kind of like flexing his good looks because Max,
he looks good.
I'm about to say, like, I forget who the actor's name, but I'm like, he is so good looking. With shirt on, he is still good looking. But when he picked up her suitcase and you see that slow motion golden hue of her flipping her hair and kind of looking at him, I can tell like, oh, baby's already spent. He's already gone. But of course, Bovie is the one who wants to get with Max. Chanel walks away, because Max got her luggage, and Bovie's like, here, if you can, like my hand hurts, like can you help me with the luggage? But Max is up here looking at Chanel, but before Chanel officially walks off, she looks back at him. So I'm just like, I ship it full speed ahead. Let's go. I think it's so sweet because even with him being himbo-ish, I believe he is very sincere, and especially since it automatically seems like he really is intrigued and entranced with Chanel.
And I think especially because like she's not immediately returning his affection. She's very cool as a cucumber, and he's probably used to ladies just chasing after him, so it's probably like, oh, we have we have an actual challenge.
Yes.
But also, like, Chanel is just cool as shit. She's just like, you're just lucky I showed up.
I showed up. But it seemed like, even with her just being like, I'm not here for you. Yeah. It's kind of like, not like that, but with her looking back at him, it kind of gives that interest. It was like, I would. I smashed. I hit it.
Like, I think I see what Bovie is saying. Like,
absolutely.
And poor Bovie's like, oh, I'm weak. And he's like, yeah, okay, but I know you're trying to play hard to get. I'm like, oh, no, baby.
He's like, you're selling yourself too hard. Like, hold on, Bovie, I need you to... Just a little bit. But while we have that, of course, we have Son coming up today. And Day is, he's like, hey, can I help you with your luggage? She's like, yeah, if you got it. She hands it to him because Day is carrying it easily. Yeah. She hands it to Son. Because again, we were saying how the women being the majority of the population, that a lot of them had to take on masculine jobs, and I'm sure like with Day, she probably had to do the same thing. And so of course, like, her lifting heavy things is no problem because she has had the endurance and built up for that. Of course, Sun is living a life of luxury. He's never had to do that. Of course, probably needs to go ahead and get that routine, that mascot. But
I was like, do you even lift, bro?
Like,
he's been skipping arm day.
Like, apparently not. So you were just like, what's she packing there? Her sister? I'm like, probably at this rate. But yeah, it's just funny how dichotomy is such an interesting twist where he's like, he does not exactly got that. So
like he's like lean and athletic, but it's like more of like a runner, sprinter.
Yeah.
He's not someone who's like Max that has a little bit more buffness to him. So it was just funny where he's kind of preening a little bit like, oh yeah, let me help you with your luggage. And then he's like, I ain't got it. Well, the wind carried it a little bit.
Right.
Let me try that again.
Like start doing like,
right.
Okay, let me get it this second time. I have to like deadlift the luggage. It'll be funny. She was just like, you know what, I got it. Never mind. So let me take it back. And so she gets to her room and gets settled in. And of course, like I said, the room is wonderful. It's beautiful. Did notice that not every room is a copy of things. Yes, it has like the same kind of thing, like the circular tub or anything like that. But sometimes the beds will be positioned in different ways. And so she FaceTimes with her sister to show her how everything is. And then she's just like, oh, well, it seems like it's time for lunch. And, I'm hungry, so let's go and get that. So all the ladies congregate for lunch. And then there's like the silver serving trays that you like
a buffet
up.
with those little trays. And they all go up ready to go. And then there's nothing in them. And Day is like...
she's about to riot.
She's pissed. She's like, what the F? And they all turn around. It's like, hey, this is actually part of your next challenge. You're going to be meeting up. You're going to be split into teams. And each guy is going to be head of one team. And you're going to be making a dish together.
Yes.
And
we forgot to mention, each of them kind of like have like Apple Watches, like smart watches. They'll keep track of not only the days that they're there. At least I believe Day, because I believe it was like actually Day, not referring to her name. In this one, they look at their watch and they will get like a color counter and it will spin to see who she was with. And it almost looked like it was going to land on Sun, but ended up landing on Almond. But, with Almond, especially with the cooking challenge that they have to do, that's a good thing because guess what? Almond's the cook.
Yeah.
So this should have been in the back.
Even the announcers were all like, oh yeah, he's a cook. This other girl, she's a food influencer. This girl's a whole foodie and blah, blah, blah. She has her own line. And like going down the line, saying, oh yeah, this girl has this girl has this.
Like athletics and stuff like that, yeah.
Let's skip over Day, because between the four of them, they're all good.
Yeah.
So,
and then there's Day.
Yeah.
Today.
And Lotto Girl's kind of lucky, so she should be okay. We're not worried about her.
And she's like, ding! So, fabulous. The whole purpose of the game is that with all these dishes, they'll show a dish, and then guys will have to pick up the dish from the bowl, like with one of the ingredients, and then they have to rally line, like or like kind of like a tag
relay,
that's what I'm trying to look for. Thank you. But the girls will have to wear it, and then they have to exchange it to the next person until it gets down to the last person. Then they have to run into the bowl, and they have like a certain amount of seconds. And then there's a camera up ahead where they have to fall back, and your face has to be on full display and smiling in order for the points to count. Because if your face is blocked in any way, you will not get the points. The first game. And automatically, the other guys go scrambling, go and find what they want. Almond, okay, now, what is in this dish? I'm like, that's supposed to be your instinct.
You're supposed to be the ace at this. But then we find out Almond only really knows Western food.
Yeah.
And so all the dishes that have been announced are all like Thai or Southeast Asian foods. And they have specific ingredients. And like, bless his heart, he's so sweet. But thinking on his feet is not his strong suit. Because he's like, wait, what's in here?
Yes.
And even the others are like, the other guys are calling out like, hey, there's this element, there's this element.
Or not yet, like, because Sun does, but everyone else knows what to get. But of course, by the time he goes digging through it, he's like, everything's gone. So he's just like, well, what else is in it? And so by the time they were getting in there, like, of course, like, the first team had scored points, which I think was like Bovie and Chanel's team, because they're not on the same team for one. Chanel's on Sun's team for sure.
Yeah.
And so scored back and then realized like, oh, well, they got the points. And then Day was like, oh, hell no. And so she went and whispered to someone else, like the person next to her in line on her team is like, pass that message down.
Yes.
So what was the message by the time it got to Almond?
It's like, I'm hungry. If you mess this up, you will die, or something to that extent. But basically, she's hangry throughout this entire game. She was expecting to get fed, so her whole motivation from getting through this whole thing is so that way she can eat, because the team that does not get the lowest amount of points, they don't get lunch. Yes. So if she does not get lunch, Almond's gonna find herself missing some pieces and parts.
Absolutely, because she looks back down the line and she went, right. Like, that's gonna be you if I don't eat. Like, don't play with me in my plate.
You don't need words to translate that. I was oh no, she's gonna really fuck him up.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you don't mess with the girl when she's hangry. So I was like, Almond, I need you to step it up, baby, because right now this should have been your element. And the thing is, with like all the different ingredients and stuff, the other guys are taking the most immediately, like, okay, this is an obvious ingredient, shrimp or crab or whatever. There's also like hidden elements like vegetables or certain things.
Oh, speaking of which, that was the reason why that round had fell. Because he grabbed some basil, and so off it went with that. But then realized it was the wrong type of basil. That was the trick. They had two different basils in there. There was like sweet basil and I think like Thai basil or something like that. But he picked the wrong one, so they didn't get the points. And so that's why she's like, if we lose this, I'm going to stomp on your face.
And especially after she's running hard to get to the end. Yes. And mind you, while all this is going on, because this is a relay, you also have Chanel and plotting and Bovie, and both of them are working together. Even though they're on opposite teams, they're working together to try to stop Day. And Day is really the main one pushing this stuff forward. So if they're trying to take her out, and even like throughout each round, Chanel is like whispering, like whistling, because she's like, hey, get that girl, and like some rando will just come over and try to knock her over, and Dave's like, I'm not having that, I'm too hungry for this, and then it ends up backfiring and they get spun out, and it's like watching a relay race meets Mario Kart, and just the shenanigans that go on. It's hilarious. But I just found it funny that I was like, yay, Almond, they got this. I'm like, oh no, something's gonna go wrong, and I thought it was gonna be on Dave's part, but I was like, Almond, come on, babe. You're a cook, but
it's interesting. Like, that was his handicap, is that I guess he was just so specific, and of course, like they had said, his handicap was that he didn't know Thai dishes. He was so used to cooking everything else, like, Western especially. That would be an interesting handicap if all the teams had put on, unless they probably had did that deliberately so that possibly his team could lose. Right.
And just to even the playing field a little bit.
If she completely had lost that round, if she had came in last, that entire team got eliminated. Yeah. So what also was helping with that, because Almond just could not get it together no matter which dish it was. So Sun was just like, shoot, I gotta save the girl. So he goes back, he's like, hey dude, get that one. And Almond's like, well, why are you helping me? He's like, hey, we're bros, we gotta stick together with this. And so Almond's like, you a real one. Yeah. And so that's the reason why by the time everything had carried about, even with Chanel and her shenanigans and Bovie and all that stuff coming to play, they did not end up in last place. They actually end up winning. There was like this one where at the last final point, because she had to go around and trick Bovie, got Bovie confused, and that was so that was very comic book. Yeah. But then like by the time Chanel was still standing there, but Day came up and blocked her, and so since she blocked Chanel's face, their team didn't get the point. By that definition, Almond's team won overall. And so, Sun is of course like ecstatic because that means she gets to stay in the game, and Jin's team was the one that came in last, so all of them were eliminated. What also was the accumulation of elimination was not only just points that they received overall in the games, but also from audience voting scores. It's like American Idol, kind of thing. Sometimes it's never based off of who actually deserves it. It's also based off of popularity. So one girl got eliminated just based off that. What the prize was at the end of this particular game was that the top 5 scores of those accumulated points would be able to pick who they want to go out to dinner that night. And so the guy host was just like, you know what? From what the initial tallies was looking like, it was looking like it's going to be Chanel. Per what it seemed like it should have been.
And also because they were looking at like social media presence and stuff. And yeah, Chanel was a top dog. And so it's like her and Bovie and some of her other friends. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like when we had looked at the original list, like Day was in the teens, like 15, 16. So she wasn't even nowhere near the top, and at least initially. But then the announcement came, like who got to pick her date and who was number 1. was Day.
And it was so funny because Day's like, what? How?
Me?
Yeah, and then you forward to a scene with her sister with all the nurses and the other patients in the rooms, and they all have their phones in the air.
Yeah.
And you can see like the little voting tally thing that they did it.
Yes.
And I just love that her sister has rallying behind the scenes, but also everybody else. Like, she's such a ray of sunshine, and I'm like, I love this for her. Yes. Like, she's not just suffering away.
Yeah. And I think it's also probably with everyone else that are on the cusp like they are. This is the everyman that has a possibility of getting a better life.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I'm sure a lot of them identify with her. It reminds you so much of Katniss, you know, in a way, where it's like you start rallying support when people like her from her particular district didn't have a snowball's chance in hell to really like succeed. It's mostly always been the elites. Like we had said before, the elites had always won. That's always how it has been. And so for people like her from their ranks to get a chance to advance in life, why not support that? Because it's like, you know, if it was in their situation, they would want the same support, you know. And so she comes forward, and I love how the trick of the camera has been where in the first episode, Almond was trying to find her, and so you assumed that he did, but it ended up being Sun that got into the room, and he was in the room like to the right of them, so he just missed her. When you look at this scene, when she's going up to the person, because she's thinking back when she was choosing between wedding dresses with Valentine, like just window shopping, it's like, well, which one would you choose? She's like, how am I supposed to know what I want to choose? So she kind of just goes off with her best feeling of what she wants to choose. Instead of Almond, because Almond's up there looking like, oh, she's coming over to...
I gotta look good.
I mean, Almond looks good. She is. But it's not Almond she goes to. It is
Sun.
Of course it is.
And at first, my first instinct when she went up to Sun was to get the autograph that her sister asked for. Because her sister's like, so did you get the autograph yet?
Yes, that's true.
And she's like,
about that.
And this is where the sister's like, ooh, you must be in love. And da-da-da-da. It's like, girl, stop planting seeds. I'm just trying to get through this.
Yes.
But I like the trick of the camera, because at first I thought, okay, well, maybe she's going to go with Almond. Number one, to berate him for like making her wait to eat, and fucking up the game badly, or even to apologize. But then when she stood in front of San, and San's like, okay, look cool, keep it cool, like cameras are on us.
Because he was very flattered about that. But I mean, I would suppose, like, if it was personally me, even like when they had first walked up to the house, you know, the guys were on top of the roof. It seemed like when the camera had focused on Almond, he smiled. It seemed like he was smiling towards Day. So it seemed like he already pegged Day as the person that he kind of wished to be chosen by. Yeah. But in happenstance, what's up?
Nothing. I thought of something, and I'm like, now I want to go back and rewatch the part of the scene where the guys are watching the girls, because I could see Almond watching Day filling up on all that food and being like, oh my god, a girl that eats, and like that. That getting to him already.
You know what? After we're done with it, let's rewatch episode 1 and see all that. I couldn't watch everyone because I was focused on Max first, because like
abs.
Well, even just that, but I was just like, he's such a lovely sweetheart, and so me just seeing him just like, oh yeah, that girl, I like her automatically, but I didn't get to see anyone else's reaction, so that would be nice. I think I remember vaguely seeing, like, you know, Almond's interest in a lot of things, but it'll be nice to go in retrospect afterwards, so we'll rewatch episode 1 when we're done with that. I'm like, the reason why I feel like she might have gone for Sun, because they kind of already have a semi-history. The history of the necklace notwithstanding, because of course she doesn't know it's him, but he knows it's her. And so they already have a little bit more of a history in comparison to Almond. She was just stuck on Almond's team, and she was not even like close to him. She was on the other side of the field, so she hasn't really had a lot of interface with Almond yet. Right. And so if it was me, I would feel a little bit more comfortable even with it being Sun.
Yeah, because at least you have some
connection. And he also was the one who saved her last episode. Yeah. And so I'm just like, yeah, that's the natural progression of things. I hated it for Almond because he wanted her to choose him, but it goes to show, like, if it was me in that situation, that's who I would have picked. I would have
done the same thing.
So,
and plus, I don't know if I could be civil to the guy that potentially screwed us up.
Because I would be like, you
look here, I'm hungry. Do not F this up.
Right, and I'm not sure if she was able to see any of that, but Sun had helped him. And so in that, I think it was like, that's a natural gratitude that was like, hey, you technically saved me again, even though she probably at that rate didn't realize that that's what he did for Almond.
She's too busy trying to survive Bovie and
Chanel and all that stuff. So
wild.
So she chooses him, and so eventually they all go to this rooftop, and it's really cool because it also gives off like cyberpunk-ish with the lighting, because it has like this cool like 80s lighting vibe. They also get like this drink that's like a bluish purple pink kind of like hue to them.
I want what they're having.
I'm saying I want more food than what they got.
Oh yeah.
But definitely like the drinks look cool, the aesthetic looks awesome, and so all the girls come up in their dress, and even Day was a slay.
They look cute.
I mean, they look so cute and everything. And so we find out that Bovie gets paired with not Max, but she gets paired with Paper. Mm-hmm. Max got to be paired with Chanel, and then Paper got paired with some lady.
You mean Jen or
well, Paper. I'm sorry. Yeah, Almond. Thank you. Almond got paired by some lady who was also like a foodie or a food blogger, and then Jen got paired with some other lady that he eventually will scare off with his antics. But
he needs somebody just as weird as
he does. What's interesting about them is that they are paired with true people that kind of really connect with them, I think, better. But the dates are not going on the way they are. Even with Almond being with someone that had the same interest as him, he was still a little sad and still focused on Day. And then Bovie was also focused on Max. But Max was already focused on Chanel, so he already got what he wanted. But I guess like just making our way around the table, because we don't really get much of Almond and the other girls' conversation, so they don't really matter. I just know the look had mattered. So from Paper and Bovie, like they're very cute together.
Yeah.
And then they about music, like she's into music. She's in like what, death metal?
Yeah, like heavy metal. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like,
I mean, and you know, even like Paper's like, I could sign on that. That is cool for you. They really appreciate music together. She's like, well, there's a station, you know, if you want to, you can listen to it, because apparently we find out that he has older radios, because he's like, can't get all stations because, you know, sometimes there's some things that are just not available. And so she gives him like the station numbers, like something 7.25, like some weird in between. Afterwards, he got the antenna up for his really old radio. He was able to find it later on. So, you know, they connected that way through music. So they have a really awesome like foundation start to their relationship. And so the next one of Chanel and Max. Oh my gosh.
Oh god, this is so funny.
I mean, he's all just like, is it good? He's like, the mill, is it good? She's like, yeah, it is good. So he's just like, you know what? It just feels like you're so distant from me.
So far away.
So far away. He's like, do you mind if I move closer? She's just like, yeah, that's fine. Next second.
Oh my god. So we had to rewind this scene because we were laughing so hard. So to kind of put this in perspective.
Because it was just so quick.
It was so quick. Like,
because she was literally just looking
dead at him.
And
she looked down and she looked up and he was right there.
Right split second.
It felt like watching an episode of Johnny Bravo when he's like siding up to a woman and it's like out of nowhere he's like, hey there, mama. Like it was giving that same energy. And I was like, we just cracked up laughing so hard because on anybody else it would be so skeevy, but because it's Max and we know what type of person he is, I'm just like, this slick motherfucker.
Yes.
But it was just so cool.
I mean, because the words were barely out of her mouth before he had his jacket off and around her and was sitting next to her. He's just like,
and that's what made it funnier because we were like, okay, when's he gonna take his shirt off?
Oh, we forgot because he took it off during the relay race. And and like the I guess like the helpers were trying to shrug his jacket back on. I was like, not now, Max. Like tone it down.
The little Girl Scout ushers, Squid Game ushers. They're like, can you please wait until after the game?
Afterwards, but he's just like, I'm hot.
I know, and so like during the date, like he had his jacket on, but then when he's like, can I get a little closer? And Chanel's like, yeah, sure. And next thing we know, his shirt is off. He's right next to her. He's putting the jacket on around her. He's like, you must be a little bit cold. And she's like, I guess.
Like, thanks.
She's just like, what are you doing? What is this
doing?
about?
Like, because it just seemed like she's just resolved. And, like, of course, like, it was starting to slip a little bit off her shoulder. He got to adjust. He's like, yeah, I want my scent all around you, girl. Like, how? I was like, yeah.
This was just the execution of it was so funny because, like, we knew he was going to do something crazy where his shirt would somehow come off magically.
Yes.
But, like, that, I don't know why that was just so funny to me. But
yes.
I'm like, thank you for, Max, I love you. You're a weird little bug, but it's just, he's so funny.
Like, he is such a Chanel sexual for her. Like, it just seems like he's just only focused on her, but he's doing all his most, like, in his capacity to impress. So
and he's laying on so thick, too.
He is, but at the same time, like, in any other way, it would just seem oogie, but I'm like, he actually seems more earnest about it. It kind of reminds me a little bit, not quite of the shirt taking off capacity. It kind of reminds me of, Prince Rui from A Dream Within a Dream, where he's kind of like doing a little too much, where it's just like,
yes. Yes.
Like back away, but it's like, you know, when he gets his growth, like more in the 20s episode, he's earnestly met. It's just the execution sucks.
Underneath all the posturing and the preening, you know there's a genuinely good person in there.
Yes.
But because he's doing so much, and he's doing too much, and it's just all at once, you're just like, bro, come on.
Come on.
She can't take you seriously if you're not taking yourself seriously.
Sometimes less is more. He's like, no, all the more.
And,
he's like,
if he had just kind of like slowly, elegantly, like come over, but it was just the cartoon anime execution of it. He's like, hey girl.
Hey girl. And how he's like, I have to take off my shirt. I have to get hot because, you know, it's the best way to sell myself. I'm like, no, there isn't.
No.
And I'm sure, like, also, Chanel will also want a little bit more. But, of course, we already know that she had to pick Max because she had to pick somebody.
And that makes me sad, too, because it's like, you have 5 chances of finding someone and getting through this. And the fact that her mother's only fixated on one, it's like you are already limiting your daughter's opportunities, because who knows if there's not another guy that would be a better fit for Chanel.
Because shouldn't your daughter's happiness matter more?
Exactly. And it's like you still have a good shot. You still have a what, you know, I'm not good at math, but it's like you have 4 other people.
That's like 20%.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, having at least one is better than none. So
it is.
What is that saying? Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're doing that and sabotaging her chance of happiness.
Right.
It's like you can get both. You can get a hot guy.
Yes.
And still, you know, but
I guess it's like, this is the programming that Chanel has to follow. And that's why I'm just like, you know, even though she's coming off as being a mean girl, trying to do all these dirty tricks in order to ensure that she would at least get not only just top spot, but actually get to some period, especially by Balking Day, that will also have her mom chill out, because it's like, I'm doing what you're telling me to. Mm-hmm. Now.
Oh gosh, Sunday.
Oh my
Sunday.
Goodness. I just not got that. Oh yeah, because of the hashtag their couple thing. I didn't put it together. I just thought they meant like Sunday, but I forgot about that. Okay, there's some things you sometimes miss on your first watch. Sun and Day and their date, and she is up there like not only taking advice from her 12-year-old sister,
which honestly, like, girl, because you know. We find out Day has never been on a date before.
Yes.
And May,
understandably,
trying to be helpful, and her whole fangirl energy is like, let me help you out, girl. I'm going to help you get a man. And I think had this been anybody else, it probably would have worked, but this is Sun we're talking about. So that right there,
it's already
just...
Also, like, what I found interesting, because I can't remember if I think Kai was, like, wearing, like, purple and everything else. And like, I'm sorry, thank you. I'm telling you, he is so Kai-Coke, because it makes me wonder if he was the inspiration.
I would not be surprised. The love shot video and the suits.
That part. Mm-hmm. That you're exactly right.
Yep.
When it comes to Sun, because I had jokingly said, like, yeah, even though his fashion color has been red, he wore a black suit. And so I'm like, black seems more... I'm seeing more of his actual color, but no, he has to sell the color red. But when it comes down to them, of course, like, Day is up there taking advice from her sister, and I probably went on, like, a website on, like, how to date, you know, properly and all that stuff. And so, like, she's up there being all, like, demure and only taking one bite of this small-ass steak she got. And Son, of course, is thinking back, because he's like, he remembers all the food she had, like, blatantly up front, as plain as day, pun intended. And so, but like, he remembered her up there having a smorgasbord at the gathering place, like in episode 1. So he's just like, that's not like you. She's like, yeah, I normally eat this much. And she's up there demurely sipping her drink, and he's just like, you're coming off being so fake.
Like, she only took one bite. She's like, oh, I'm already full. I'm like, girl, be for real.
I'm like, you would swallow that entire bite.
Like, you were ready to ice one of the men just for holding up a game from you getting food. Be like, stop playing games, just be yourself.
And that's what's like so hard to get about that, because, you know, she doesn't know. And so, but the whole aesthetic of her is just coming off sincere, and you can automatically see Son just being turned off by all of that. And so her sister had recommended for her to ask good, deep questions, pulling her hair behind her ear and, you know, really just like, I mean, she looks cute, but it's like, you're trying too much because this isn't you.
She's really preening, and
Absolutely.
she's not a preener type. She's
not at all.
Oh, look at me, I'm so... No, that's not who Day is.
She's usually straight to the point, feed me, or I'm going to go animalistic. But she's like, so, what is your passion? And he spits out his string. He's like, that's a little too deep, because we find out that there's some things that, you know, maybe with her, especially since he knows who she is, that he wants to be open and frank with her about.
Yeah.
But then when she gives the answer she gives, it's the polar opposite of what he wants to hear. And
she talks about, I want to join the family. I want to be part of the farm. And again, she's not really disclosing the real reasons why she wants to join the farm. We know that it's her sister, but she's not really talking about that. And I think that is not helping her case at all. Right. Because we've already seen from Son, he's like, no, it's not the place you really want to be. Right. It's not for you. And the fact that she's really harping on this and being so fake is just turning him off even more. Yeah. And so he's just disgusted throughout this ordeal. And one thing we forgot to talk about was when he first saw her, when they were arriving, he was like, oh, you're not wearing your necklace. What happened? She's like, well, it doesn't really go with this, and it's not really important.
And he's just like, important?
And we know it's important to him because of what it represents.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that. But that already started off the date on a weird note. And so between her not eating, her giving these fake answers, and then when she asks, like, oh, what's your passion? And he's like, well, actually, you know, tell me yours first, because we were talking about this, how is he programmed to kind of say certain lines or to kind of feed off of someone else's energy instead of, like, being real. And maybe in seeing Day, maybe he's like, finally, I can just be myself. Yeah. But if she's acting like this, well, F that.
Well, and that's what he kind of said, because he's just like, you know, you go ahead and say it first, because it'll depend on what you say, is how I said. Because he's like, if I was to tell you that, it's like, might not matter in the long run.
Right.
And so when she hits him with that, I just want to be a part of the family, and da-da-da-da. So I was like, well, my passion is the opposite of what you want. I want to get out of here. He's like, I don't want to be here on the farm.
She was also laying it on really thick, like, well, you know, I'm also passionate. And it kind of gave, like, I'm willing to do anything and sell my body. And we're like, girl, what are you doing?
Right. I know, like, with him being so isolated, because I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts that he has that he can't really express to any of the other guys. Because they might feel, you know, secure and safe on how they are, but he's not. With her, you know, especially since, like, he saw him in this vulnerable situation when he was little, that he wanted to be frank and open with her, but it's like, no, it just seems like you're just in it to win. It doesn't matter if it was me or anything like that. And so when it comes to the end of dinner, and the guys have to give their scores about how they rate dinner, and mostly on average, everyone is rated high. Even Jen and his freaking craziness. He reminds me of so many, like, dating stories you hear about, like, oh, I had a great time. I'm like, oh, yeah, because you talked all about yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gave her a 10, even though it's like, yeah, that woman did not get a say in anything.
She deserved those points because she suffered through it. Because you see, like, the recap of their date, and he's going all over the place, like, he's da-da-da-da-da, and she's looking at him like, boy, are you nuts? Right. Like, sit down.
Like, turning her head to look at this guy. She's like, what the am I looking at? Like, what are you trying to do?
That was compensation for her time.
You know what? Much awarded. So she deserves that for that. Max gave a 9, even though I'm surprised he only gave a 9. But he held the sign in his teeth. I'm like, he's real sexy. And of course, like, Paper gave Bovie a 9. And then we don't see... No, Almond gave the girl, I think, gave her a 9 too.
Yeah.
Son gave Day, because Day's just like, yeah, I know, this is awesome. Yes, he's gonna give me a great score, a 5.
Uh-huh.
And then everyone was just like, "Ooh, why is it so low?" And there's like this little like announcing intercom thing that walks around and he's just like, are you okay, son, with giving her that score? He's like,
actually,
oh, my bad. Flips it, gives her a 4.
Yeah. And at first I was like, oh no, I thought he was like, oh, actually, well,
because you said she was going to get a 2.
Yeah.
So.
And I was like, I don't know. I think that's being very nice. And the fact that he gave her a 5,
that's pretty generous,
considering what happened during the date and what happened, and like, poor baby.
I mean, it started off great because, like, I did like when all the ladies come onto the roof and he sees her because she's the last one that comes.
Yeah.
And he sees her. He's automatically just like, wow,
stunned.
she is gorgeous. The dress she has is beautiful.
So pretty.
And so, like, I can see where he's just like, oh, wow, like, that to him is like his heart, and his heart fluttering moment.
He genuinely looked like he was looking forward to it as well. And so,
because even when she picked him, he looked very flattered about it.
And it's like, oh, okay. So, he finally has a reason to be interested and actually engaged. Because before, he was just like, oh, okay, here we go with this nonsense.
And I'm sure he also was possibly wanting to ask her about all of that, about the past and all that stuff. Of course, like, you, from this standpoint, he got out, he somehow got back in, and they got a part of her necklace, but you don't know how that had happened. Now, they had done that deliberately for him not to get into that yet because we're not at that point in the story where it's really warranted. Afterwards, she goes and confronts him and she's angry, just like, how can you give me such a low score? Like, don't you understand? Like, I'm trying to stay here. I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
And he's just like, that's practically the problem. Like, you just seem like you're in it to win. And like I was saying, like, it didn't matter with who. You were coming off really insincere and inauthentic. Like, you were faking your way through that. We already know he knows. I know you better. And that's just on, like, previous observation.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what about you with all your manufactured things? Because from her standpoint, she's like, you get everything governmentally funded for you. And you have everything where she doesn't. And she has to struggle for more of what she has in comparison to him. She has to scrimp and save, try and save her sister and everything else. He doesn't have to struggle like that. And so it's like, yep, that's where I like that in this show, is that there's two sides to every coin, and like I said, there's pros and cons with each side,
and it just shows the grass really isn't greener, because we know from Son's demeanor so far that not everything is what it seems. And yeah, he has this privileged life, but he's not able to live his life the way that he wants, and not having that freedom is one of the biggest aspects of his personality and why he moves the way that he moves. So it's like, you don't know what you're really asking for, like what you're really wanting. You're not prepared for the reality of it.
Like we keep saying, she doesn't say the reason why she's trying so hard.
Yeah.
If he had heard that, then the plea would have been like better heard. But of course, like if she said it now, there wouldn't be as many stakes or like miscommunication. I
wondered if he would even believe her. He was just thinking that she was just making it up just to save herself. You know what I mean?
At this juncture, probably. But if she had said this like back in episode 1, like in that room and was frank about it. I can't remember, like, in that bathroom scene that she started saying, like, no, she only said, can I get your autograph? Instead of just, like, my sister is a fan of yours. Can I really get your autograph? That's really all I'm here for.
Exactly.
If she had been sincere about that, then it would have been, like, not so much more of a misunderstanding. But I think they're doing it deliberately also to build up tension about them just always just missing it. And also possibly feeding into the other potential of Almond wanting a chance at her too.
And I think too, like, thinking about who Day is and like how hard she works, I don't think she would want to use her sister as a crutch.
No.
Like, it does not seem like her character at all. It's like it's her prerogative whether or not she wants to share that with other people,
because it's not really anybody's business.
It's not their business, and she does not want people digging into her family and stuff, probably. But I was like, yeah, I can see her being like, you know what, my sister is a baby, I want her to live comfortably without people being all up in her shit. And I respect that for her, because that means that she has a lot more integrity.
Absolutely.
Son does not see that right now, but she has a lot of integrity and grace and is very direct about stuff. Like, she doesn't really hold back.
Also, shattering the illusion he had about her saving him like she did, that already gives a hero's complex to her.
Puts her on a pedestal.
Yes.
And it's like, oh no, like that gets knocked right down real quick. And I think that's good, because it's like, I understand his feelings for her as a child and being really thankful, but it's like, you have to deal with the reality of the person as they are right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, homegirl's going through some circumstances. Like, she has stuff happening, and he does too. And I can't wait until they get to that point where they can, like, genuinely share what's been going on with each of them and how their lives, the direction their lives have taken, and how they ended up where they are, and all that stuff. And who knows, he may have voluntarily gone back to the farm. He's like, well, I want to be good enough to come back and maybe get her. I don't know. That's just me speculating. Well, I haven't seen this.
Well, the thing is, too, is that when you say, she had changed, I'm like, this has always been the same day. Even this day that we see, it seemed like she's still the same hero, going to save and do good.
Yeah.
And also live her life and eat. I mean, I get that, too. When he probably had seen her eating or, like, doing her smorgasbord like that, that seemed more in line with
the day we know. I was talking more in terms of their life circumstances, because we don't know as a child at that point if they still had, like, her mom around or anything like that. And so, because I want to really know what happened to him after they found each other and she saved him. I want to know, like, the intermediate parts of that. It's like, ooh, there's so much time that so many things could have happened. And yeah, so I really like this. This is a fun episode.
Yes, it is. Oh yes, we forgot like a little bit of afterwards when Day was just like,
too.
But we'll get to Valentine in a minute. She was just like, well, shoot, regretting that I didn't eat when I did. I'm like, girl, we could have told you to go ahead and eat that one bite of steak you got. And so she went rummaging in the kitchen, and she found some branded noodles with almonds face on it, which is ironic. It was branded ramen, yet this dude does not know how to make whatever. But that goes to show it's no illusion. It's fake advertising. Eventually Almond finds her like crunching, and she's just like, oh, do you want some of this? And he's like, no. But he ends up making her a meal, and she's like really intrigued with it. But who comes around the corner is
his son.
Yes. And so what I found interesting about this scene is that, of course, like, Son is looking off to the side so they don't see him. But what I found interesting about this scene is how she was very transparent with Almond, saying that, yeah, I was just trying to date to impress. I didn't really eat that much, and all that stuff. And so, like, she was up there telling a lot of these truths and being a little bit more honest with Almond than she was with Son. I'm sure Son was also feeling all kinds of way, because you see the way it crossed across his features, where he kind of like looked antagonistic for a minute because he only saw her, and then he saw Almond, and then he kind of got a little hurt, especially after he heard her reveal, I didn't eat that much, and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then Almond was just like, well, hey, if you choose me next time, I wouldn't give you a low score. And so she's like, are you sure I can do that? And so it seems like now her
allegiance is changing.
Yes.
Even though we know that that's not really the case, but it's like she came into the date with good intentions. Like, she was trying to get through the date as best she can and thought her sister's advice would help. It just backfired severely, and I'm like,
it's also still bad because, well, it's not necessarily bad, but it's still very insincere.
Insincere, yeah.
In the hindsight, a lot of this is insincere, because a lot of it is also just built up of perceived notions that they have heard about these guys. They don't really know them. Is any more than the idolship you will get.
And I think that was the thing that kind of struck me, because, May knows everything about Son.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised that she didn't give information that would be specific to him. But also, we don't know what type of manufactured stuff is out there. And so she's probably like, oh yeah, do this and say this and say these deep things. Because I kept thinking about, like, K-pop and how idols, they get that media training where they're told, oh yeah, I like a type of girl that's XYZ, and I like this and this and this. And then they date someone that's completely opposite of that.
Absolutely.
They're dating someone on the low, like, and it's just so funny. So it's like, May's intentions were good, but I was just like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And the way that the boys, all of their likenesses are being used for different things, like, and the irony of, like, Almond being his face on ramen, but he
only was Western.
He can't cook, Asian food. Like, it's just so funny. So I'm just like, yeah, who knows? Because, Son's the Ice Prince. Who knows what type of...
that also has, like, a billboard of makeup and stuff like that, telling her how to do makeup, which is the opposite, because Day, being a woman, traditionally, outside of that, women are supposed to know how to do makeup. She doesn't.
It's like, oh yeah, if you use this blotting paper, it'll you don't have to deal with the sweat. She's like, oh, how do you know? And then we swipe over to this giant billboard of him with
like ding selling that. And because I'm like,
that was funny.
I thought it was funny because it goes to show like they are the precious commodity, and a lot of it is like a manufactured kind of thing. So they are. Exactly right. They are a product. They are a brand. They are a brand amongst themselves. Because I'm sure, like, after all of that, there's a lot of things that I'm sure, like, Jen is probably, like, has his face on gadgets or, like, earbuds or anything like that. I can see that.
He's, like, carrying on Raycons to this day.
He kind of reminds me of, like, Dexter. And, like, because of the glasses and the hair movement. And Dexter's laugh.
He's a quirky dude. Like, we haven't seen much of him, but so far, he's a quirky guy.
Speaking of Jen.
Yes. Because right after that, we see Valentine. And Valentine, we kind of talked about her a little bit before, where she's now part of the production cast. And so she's like in the room where Jenny is doing all her plans and machinations and stuff. And so Valentine's kind of like checking things out. And we find out that she meets up with her mother, and her mother is like, yeah, the game is fixed, blah, blah, blah. Valentine is a spy. Yes. And we don't know exactly what her mom has to do with this whole thing, but they did make a mention with, the men that are at the farm and blah, blah, blah. You see kids from like the age of like 4 all the way to grown adults playing. And there's this illusion that maybe there might be a family member or somebody that's in the farm that they're trying to get out. But Valentine is there working, but she gets access to the production room. So when Jenny's getting phone calls from Chanel's mom is like, why is this happening? Why is homegirl winning this? And Jenny's like, oh my God, would this woman stay out my face?
Can't you stop calling me?
Yeah, I'm fixing it right now. Leave me alone. Jenny puts out her phone, and it's so interesting seeing her dynamic with Chanel's mom on the show, and then her with her wife, and she's all giddy and stuff. And I'm like, this is kind of cute, but I'm now really worried about her baby because I'm like, I don't trust Chanel's mom. But but yeah, she puts her phone down and goes to the restroom, and during that time we see a flashback to Valentine talking to her mom, and her mom is working, I guess, as a laundress somewhere. Yes. And yeah, they're talking about the show and how it's being rigged, but they make a mention to a male potentially family member. So I'm thinking it's like either a brother or something, and I'm like, oh shit. And so Valentine, I'm nervous about her, but I'm scared. But when we go back to the present, Jenny's in the bathroom and she's looking stressed out. She just has her normal, like, God, you could tell she likes Day and she likes the show going as is, but she's trying to kind of work out how to, appease Chanel's mom, but still make the show that she wants.
She has to walk a very fine line about. It's kind of like her version of code switching. She has to code switch around a lot of things. So she has to be, not cold and dominating, but conceal everything. Keeping everything aloof. Like, business as usual. Like, there's nothing else that needs to rock the boat here. Versus how she acts with her wife. Versus how she is in her alone moments of just collecting. Or the little break she has of just like when she sees Chanel's mom calling, she's rolling her eyes. Like, that's a break moment. Even though, in episode 1, anytime we see a flash from her from the games that are going on to her, she has this look of just like
dead stare.
This is all nothing but business. There's nothing but that. Yeah. But it just seems like there's a little bit more feeling of that, especially us seeing her being married and that they have like a happy, healthy marriage and that they're looking forward to this baby. That she's not the cold person we perceive.
She's not a robot. Like, and there's a lot more underneath it all. And it makes me nervous about Chanel's mom and her connections because it's like, why do you care that Jenny's wearing flats and that she's not, drinking alcohol? What does that have to do with you? And it's almost as though she's kind of seeing it as, hey, I could threaten your baby if this doesn't go right. I could... and it makes me wonder, like, God forbid if she has a boy, could Chanel's mom, is she part of this whole farm stuff happening? Like,
I'm not saying anything.
And so I'm like, but my brain started spinning. I was like, I know this bitch is not.
Because it doesn't help, like, after she said that once, like, Jenny left out, she kind of had, like, that smirk and smile.
I have something on you now.
Right. Because at this rate, we do not know what she's gonna have yet, but it's still like that potential, because they do go and say like 99.9% of the population is women, so to have a boy is very, very, very finite.
Jenny comes back from the restroom and she sees Valentine and she's like, what are you doing? And Valentine turns around like, oh, I left something in here, I just came to get it. And so she just walks out, but Jenny looks at the phone that she left behind, and when she left her phone, when she went to the restroom, it was face up.
Yeah.
But now her phone is face down, and so we are like, oh no, like.
And I did notice like the design on her phone case, at least like briefly, it was white and small, but I think all the circles, quote unquote, that you see, I think they were hexagons. So it's kind of like really reflective of being a part of the farm and that collective. And so speaking of also for Valentine,
yes,
Valentine also is sitting with Jen, and Jen apparently is having like late night chats. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. And
so I'm like, oh, Ray would have been his best friend. But so he's going off on all of this, and he's just like, talk about aliens and all that stuff. And he also mentions about there is a restricted area at the farm. And he's like, that's, I think, where they're hiding all the aliens at. And so Valentine's just like, oh, do tell.
Really. And what's so interesting about this, because I guess like they're doing like cast interviews and stuff, so Valentine at first is not paying attention. She's bored. She's like, oh my god, will this guy shut the hell up?
Please do.
But I was like, oh, there might be some nuggets of truth. He's like, yeah, I think the whole male population thing happened because of aliens, and this restricted section, like there's a place that even the gentlemen are not allowed to go, like men can't go there. She's like, oh really? Like yeah, would you mind going on a little bit? So we know Valentine's about to get into some stuff, but it also kind of like, okay, the creation of the farm and why the population just suddenly dropped, and it's just like, okay, was this like a manufactured thing? Like
the disease?
Yeah.
Stuff? I don't think it was. I can tell you that I don't think that was. It was just the unfortunate happenstance. Now, what all had developed by placing a protection fence around these commodities, these men, that is the shady part of it.
But like Jen is he's the odd duck of the group, and so I'm like, he cracks me up, but I'm like, oh, a broken clock is right twice a day. So
I mean, sure, that's true. And that's the thing is like, even with like some certain kinds of conspiracy theories, I always believe like there, if not all elements
there's a
are
nugget
like,
of truth in there.
There is a nugget of truth, however small or big, in it. He might be wrong about the whole aliens being on the farm, but he's not wrong about there being a restricted area.
Yeah.
And that's the main kernel that Valentine was trying to get to. So at the very end of the episode, we go to Sun's room, and like I said, I thought it was kind of funny that I've always thought that this man's true color is black, and sure enough, the bed spread he has on his bed is black, but I noticed the chest in front of his bed, I think it's red.
It's like little pieces here that are red, but he has like black furniture, black nightstand.
Like my soul.
Yeah. And you see him go in his room, and he sits down on the bed, and then you see him pull out the necklace from the nightstand, and he kind of holds it in front of him like.
And I find it funny, he got the bigger piece of the necklace. Maybe also that goes to show that the bigger part of his heart is still with the girl that he was no longer able to be with. So I guess with that, what is your speculation for episode 3?
Oh gosh, I don't know, just because I have so many different theories about stuff, but all this stuff. Because I was thinking about, even if Dave finally figures out who Son is, it's like, okay, how can he relay information to her about his past without some red flags popping up? But yeah, I don't trust Chanel's mother, and I feel like she's gonna do something either to Day or Jenny. Like, I just feel like she has way too much power, and it just makes me nervous, because it's just like, when you have rich people who have too much money and too much time on their hands, there's always some foolishness afoot.
Especially when it comes to playing with other people's lives. That's like usually like so gross.
And I want to see how Almond steps up his game, because it's like, okay, he fed her, so that kind of redeemed him in her eyes a little bit, but it's just like.
And also giving her an out too. Yeah. But you know how it just seems, as sweet as Almond is, and even as sincere as Son wants to be with her, on her same token too, it's just that what we had talked about before is that she's not there for love. No. And that's the unfortunate thing. She's still using these men too. Yeah. Using them for her sister, yes. And a lot of them are just looking for sincerity.
Yeah.
And especially Sun, knowing who she is to him.
And it was interesting seeing Almond kind of like this glare at Sun, like I wanted to end up with her for a date. Like, why do you get that girl? What? And
what did you do to turn her on for you? And Sun was just like, I was just flattered that she did. Because, Sun already had his own reasons, as we know. Yeah. The reason why he loved that she picked him was because we have a history. Maybe we can start discussing that.
Yeah.
And maybe I can actually express my true self, not this thing on a makeup billboard. Or
they tell me to the image that they want to present. I can actually be myself.
Yeah.
And at least if I have to deal with this destiny of being forced to marry, then at least I can do it in a way that feels like me.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Just, man, it's crazy stuff.
I know, it's like only the second episode, but isn't it really
I love this. There's a nice balance of comedy, a nice balance of emotional stuff in there. Like, on the surface, it feels light and frothy and like, look at all these nice little colors and blah, 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 and games. But I think if I wasn't a K-pop fan, like, it would hit a different way for me. I would just see it as a regular story. But having been a K-pop fan and having been part of that 90s boy band craze and the way that these people are seen as commodities and products and they're not allowed to show any real like humanness, like they have to be perfect and you're kind of married to your audience and it's just like, damn, this is hitting a certain kind of way for me. So
with the audience participation, it's almost like we want you to marry who we want you to.
Yeah, and how much they are held to their audience, because I think I talked about this a couple of days ago where we talked about certain groups like Super Junior and how like they still kind of have this weird parasociality to them where their fans are like, oh yeah, we're married to you, and kind of engaging in that
not healthy,
that nonsense, a very toxic, unhealthy relationship. I'm like, these men are in their 30s and 40s and they, you still have fans that get pissed off at them for getting married and stuff.
Like Chin, that still makes me so angry.
Yeah, seeing that type of dynamic play out in the games and with the men especially, because each one has their own fangirls and whatnot, and it's just like, wow. Like, at least in this regard, like, they're expected to marry someone, so hopefully that kind of takes some of the sting off of it. But I could imagine, like, a really toxic, terrible fan that just goes ballistic just as a bystander, not even involved in the games. Yeah. Like, if you had, like, those ultimate weirdo sassang stalker fangirl. So I think that's why the whole bathroom scene with Song was so funny, because it's like, girl, the optics are not looking good for you.
No, it's not. And so that, and like, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that too, because like as soon as their dinner date was done, and she goes like chasing after him, he's about to get to the bathroom. He's just like, apparently this is just your MO. Like, you just keep stalking me to bathrooms and stuff. We know, of course, that's not what Day is here for. Day is here for like alternative other notions, but it's not to pursue him in that way. But yeah, I guess like with that, are you ready to move on to episode 3?
Yes, let's get this moving. I want to see some more.
Well, fantastic. We're going to go and watch on, and we'll let you know more about our thoughts.